Now, this evening's topic is posed as a deceptively simple motion that people must be kept away from endangered animals. Now, I say deceptively simple because beneath that short sentence lies a highly contentious issue that calls into question our values and priorities. It highlights the sometimes conflicting strategies pursued by those organisations working throughout the world to protect the Earth's rich biodiversity, and those organisations whose main focus is on alleviating poverty and providing and promoting sustainable livelihoods for some of the world's most vulnerable people. Whether and how we can achieve both those objectives are the big questions underlying the debate tonight. Questions that our sponsor for tonight, Conservation International, have to deal with on an almost daily basis. So a big thank you to them for sponsoring this debate. And we'll be hearing from Peter Stonia from Conservation International after the debate while we're waiting for the results of the voting. And finally, I'd like to thank our speakers, all of whom have travelled some distance to be with us tonight, and to thank Christian Samper, who's going to chair the evening. We've asked him to be a very strict timekeeper, and that's my time up, Christian, so over to you.
Well, then, good evening to all of you. It is wonderful to be here at the University of Bristol for this debate of the Wild Scream Festival. About 10 days ago, the international journal Science published an article with more than 100 co-authors from all over the world, which presented an assessment of the conservation status of the mammal species of the world. As of last month, we had described 5,487 species of mammals. Through this assessment, which used the criteria developed by the World Conservation Union and the Red List criteria, this group of scientists internationally estimated that 1,141 mammal species are threatened with extinction. That is 1 out of every 4 species of mammals on the planet. The fact is that human activities are having a tremendous impact on the wildlife, on the biological diversity, and the ecosystems of this planet. These include changes through the transformation of the habitats where these species are found, the overexploitation of those species that are of commercial interest, the growing impact of invasive species and the impacts on entire communities, the pollution that is threatening many freshwater ecosystems, and of course, climate change. But the fact is that those of us here in the panel, and most of you here in the audience today, are people that are committed to conservation, be it through our research, our understanding, or our communication by highlighting the natural world and the problems to huge audiences around the world. Having said that, all of us approach conservation from different angles and different perspectives. Some of us will focus on charismatic species that are threatened with extinction and design programs designed to save that individual species. Others will focus on protected areas, setting aside lands and water and parts of the ocean for conservation. And yet others are focusing primarily on the conservation landscapes and the people that are living with that wildlife. And at the core, the challenge is how to manage the relationship between people and wildlife. And that is the topic of our debate this evening as we tackle the question you've all seen, which is that people must be kept away from endangered animals. And we have 4 panelists that will help us approach these questions, and we're going to take them in turns. And we're going to start with Valmik Thapar. You all have received the biographies, so I'm not going to go over them in detail, but when I was asking Valmik earlier this evening how he got involved in this, he told me he was a filmmaker in India, and in 1975, he went to a reserve and saw a tiger, and life changed for him ever since. So with you, Valmik Thapar.